everybody. This is going to be an introductory video, so I've tried to do this a few different ways using a movie editor app, but my computer is so old, rather my operating system is so old, that I can't do anything fun or fancy. So sorry about that, but basically this video is just an introductory video that will hopefully walk you through kind of what I have in mind as far as your Enneagram type in quarantine. Now, that just kind of changed on Monday. The governor of our state, at least, suggested that we can start mingling a little more. However, there's still technically, with some nuance, that 10-person cap, so things aren't going to be going back to the way they were, at least 100%. So while some of this information may or may not pertain as much as it did the previous weeks, I still think it's an important thing to kind of think about, that being, how healthy are you right now? That question can be a tricky one to answer. Sometimes it's an easy one to answer for some, but the Enneagram is a good tool to kind of do in a self-assessment. So what I'd like to do is just kind of go over briefly what I have in mind, and then I will throw this up on YouTube and see if it works. So the first idea is that we're going to make a set of videos, 4 in total, one for each number for the staff, 2, 6, 7, and 9. And that first video will kind of do a brief recap about your motivations, and remember there are 4 things that each type avoids and runs from, something each type pursues and things will make them whole, something that will that's an inner struggle in them, something that will make them feel angst and like something's wrong and there's something they're trying to battle that's typically conscious, and then there's something every number belongs to here. And then I'll go over kind of the description of each type just so you kind of know the feel of your number. And then what I'd like to do is kind of just do a very, very simple conceptual analysis of what COVID and the mitigation efforts that the governor and the federal government are doing, rightfully, to save lives, what kind of impact that has on individuals. And so I'm thinking of, emotional, psychological, spiritual, perhaps even relational issues, such as fear, grief, cancellation of future plans, all kinds of things that will impact each individual, and then see how your Enneagram number fits in to those impacts from those mitigation efforts from the government. So, and then I would like to move, this is all the first video, I'd like to move into just 5 questions to ask each type, to see how healthy you feel like you are, and specifically ask those 5 questions from the lens of the Enneagram to see if you can get a little more deep and a little more uncomfortable to kind of answer that question. So that would be kind of the flow of that first set of 4 videos. The second set of 4 videos would then pivot and kind of move towards, so what do you do with that? You might wonder, why even do that first set of videos? I already know that I'm unhealthy, or I already know that I am healthy. But I think that I heard the phrase, if you approach life the same as you did prior to COVID than you do now, then you're doing it wrong. You're not paying attention. In other words, maybe you are healthy, but you're going to be different at the other side of this. Maybe you're unhealthy, you know that, but you're going to be different on the other side of this COVID thing. So how is this life situation going to change you? And if you know you're unhealthy, the Enneagram can kind of give you some language and perhaps some insight into that. But all that to say, that's free. The second set of videos would be, what do you do with that information? And so that would be talking about the difference between, obedience and surrender to Jesus. Talking about general things like, are you an orphan when it comes to the gospel? Are you living in your own power when it comes to the gospel? Or are you actually healthy? And I would unpack that. And then kind of go into specific type suggestions, so spiritual disciplines. Now that you have an awareness from the first video about some details to look at, what do you do with that? Yeah. And then just wrap up a little bit about general thoughts maybe. But anyway, that's kind of what I think. I'm going to throw this on YouTube, and we will see if it works. So, peace. Sorry it's crude, but it'll hopefully work.